Something about that moment stayed with me. I am talking about the Tuesday, August 11 episode. Specifically, the scene where Jacinda Bracken leaves Port Charles in tears. On the surface, it looked like a standard dramatic soap opera exit. Michael Corinthos had just uncovered the horrifying truth that Jacinda was the one who spiked Willow Kane's drink. We all remember the sheer terror of that situation. Watching a woozy, impaired Willow trying to get her young children, Wiley and Amelia, into the car, completely unaware of the danger she was putting them. Michael intervened just in time, his fury palpable and entirely justified. He confronted Jacinda, ended their brief but turbulent relationship right then and there, and essentially banished her from the town. We watched her cry, pack up, and walk away. At first, it didn't seem important. It felt like the neat, tidy conclusion to a messy, short-lived romantic entanglement. But in a town like this, neat and tidy usually means someone is busy sweeping a very dark secret under the rug. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Let us just pause and look at the reality of Jacinda's departure. She did not just make a minor mistake, she committed a serious felony. She drugged a sitting congresswoman and a mother, nearly causing a catastrophic accident involving 2 young children. Michael let her walk away because his primary focus was the safety of his family, but Jacinda is far from safe. She is a walking, talking liability of the highest order. If Willow decides to press charges, or if the authorities catch wind of the poisoning, Jacinda would be facing years in a state penitentiary. And let us be honest about Jacinda's character, she is not a hardened criminal. If the police put her in an interrogation room and threatened her with serious jail time, she would fold in. She would sing like a canary, exposing every conversation, every vulnerability, and every secret she learned during her time in Michael's orbit. When you start pulling at these loose threads, the picture becomes much more complicated. Jacinda leaving town does not neutralize the threat she poses. It actually makes her a wild card. She is out of Michael's sight, out of his control, and desperate. A desperate person with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous kind of person to have wandering around with your secret. We are supposed to believe she just gets on a bus or a plane and vanishes into the sunset, starting a fresh new life while Michael and Willow go back to their daily routine. But I keep coming back to the sheer mechanics of Port Charles. People who know this much, people who cross the Corinthos family and the people they love, do not just get a tearful goodbye and a one-way ticket out of town. There is a shadow beneath this story, a secondary narrative operating just out of sight, and it involves someone who has been hovering around Willow's life with an increasingly dangerous level of obsession. The more I think about it, the more my mind shifts to Nina Reed. We have to look at Nina's current psychological state. She is spiraling. She just pushed Drew Kane into the lake in a moment of sheer panic and desperation, immediately regretting it and sending an SOS to Jack Brennan to help her clean up the mess. Nina is operating on pure, unadulterated survival instinct right now, driven by a fierce, almost blinding need to protect Willow and maintain whatever fragile grip she has on her daughter's life. Now, imagine Nina's whereabouts during Michael and Jacinda's explosive confrontation. Nina is constantly in and out of Willow's orbit. What if she was nearby? What if she stood quietly in the shadows and overheard Jacinda's tearful confession about spiking the drink? Nina would instantly realize the magnitude of the threat. She knows that Willow's life is already a fragile house of cards, with the Drew Kane blackmail situation, the hit-and-run framing orchestrated by Brooklyn, and the constant stress of her career. The last thing Willow needs is a highly publicized scandal involving a poisoned drink and a messy police investigation. Furthermore, Nina knows that Jacinda is a weakling. If Jacinda gets caught, she might drag everyone down with her. Nina's hidden motivation here is not just revenge for Willow. It is absolute containment. She cannot afford to let Jacinda leave town alive, because a living Jacinda is a perpetual threat to Willow's peace, and by extension, Nina's desperate attempts to be the hero in her daughter's life. Maybe there's another layer here. We are assuming Jacinda is driving out of Port Charles, wiping her tears, looking at the city limits in her rearview mirror, and thinking she has survived the wrath of Michael Corinthos. But what if she is actually driving straight into a trap? Nina has connections now. She is growing closer to Jack Brennan, a man who knows how to make people disappear efficiently and quietly. It's possible that Nina, acting in a moment of cold, calculated ruthlessness, makes a phone call. She hires a professional to intercept Jacinda on the road. Jacinda thinks she is escaping, but in reality, her fate was sealed the moment she admitted to putting those drugs in Willow's cup. But I keep wondering whether simply eliminating Jacinda is enough for Nina. Nina harbors a deep, unresolved resentment toward Michael. She blames him for keeping her away from Willow, for constantly judging her, and for being a source of pain in her daughter's life. If Nina is going to cross the line into orchestrating a murder, why not kill two birds with one stone? What if Nina's plan is not just to make Jacinda disappear, but to use her death to permanently remove Michael from the board? Imagine the hitman intercepts Jacinda, finishes the job, but instead of burying her in the woods, he follows a very specific set of instructions from Nina. The hitman brings Jacinda's lifeless body back to the Quartermain estate under the cover of darkness and carefully plants it right inside Michael's bed. The scene is staged to look like a violent struggle. Furniture overturned, a broken lamp, signs of a frantic and deadly domestic dispute. When the police eventually arrive, the narrative writes itself. Michael Corinthos, a man with a known temper and a family history of violence, discovered his girlfriend poisoned the mother of his children. He confronted her, lost control in a fit of rage, and killed her in his own. It is the perfect frame job. Michael has the motive, the means, and the opportunity. The police would not even need to look for another suspect. They would slap the cuffs on Michael before he could even process the horror of what was happening. It doesn't seem accidental when you look at how perfectly the pieces fit together for Nina. She gets rid of the woman who endangered her daughter and grandchildren, and she simultaneously destroys the man she believes is a toxic presence in Willow's life. And the most chilling part, Nina would stand on the sidelines, playing the role of the shocked, devastated mother-in-law. She would rush to Willow's side, offering a shoulder to cry on, whispering about how they never truly knew what Michael was capable of. She would use the tragedy to cement her bond with Willow, building her own redemption on the ashes of Michael's life. As this scenario plays out in my mind, the tension grows exponentially. We are not just talking about a simple murder mystery. We are talking about a collision course between some of the most powerful forces in Port Charles. You do not just frame Michael Corinthos and expect to walk away clean. The moment Michael is arrested, the entire Corinthos and Morgan syndicate will mobilize. Sonny Corinthos will not let his son go down for a murder he did not commit. Jason Morgan, who just returned to town, prioritizing his family, will immediately begin a shadow investigation. Carly Spencer will tear the town apart looking for the truth. And Detective Dante Falconeri, despite his obligations to the badge, will be looking at every single piece of evidence with a microscopic lens to clear his brother's name. What if we're missing something? What if Nina's perfect plan has a fatal flaw? The people she is going up against are not amateurs. Jason and Sonny know how a professional hit looks compared to a crime of passion. Dante knows how to read a crime scene. If Jacinda was killed on the road while trying to flee, there will be forensic evidence that contradicts the stage scene in Michael's bed. Think about it. The pooling of the blood, the lividity of the body, the specific timeline of death. What if there is dirt or gravel from the highway on Jacinda's shoes, completely out of place on the pristine rugs of the Quartermain mansion? What if a traffic camera catches Jacinda's car miles outside of town, proving she left the estate alive? These are the tiny, unseen threads that can unravel a masterfully woven tapestry of lies. Nina might think she has orchestrated the perfect crime, but she is stepping into an arena with apex predators. The tension is not just about whether Michael will go to prison. It is about the agonizing wait for the other shoe to drop. We, as the viewers, would be watching Nina smile and comfort Willow, knowing full well that Jason Morgan is slowly, methodically tracking the hitman's digital footprint. We would feel the unease every time Dante asks Nina a seemingly innocent question about her whereabouts on the night of August 11th. You can almost feel the storm gathering on the horizon. I can't shake the feeling that Jacinda's tearful exit was not an ending at all. It feels like we are walking down a long, dark hallway, and a door has just creaked open, revealing a sliver of light from a room we were never meant to see. The story of Jacinda Bracken is not finished. It is metamorphosing from a tale of a bitter ex-girlfriend into a sprawling, high-stakes conspiracy that could tear the Corinthos family apart and push Nina Reeves past the point of no return. We are left in this uncomfortable, thrilling, liminal space, waiting for the moment the police sirens wail in the distance, heading straight for the Quartermain estate. Something feels unfinished. Michael thinks he has protected his family. Nina thinks she has secured her daughter's future. Jacinda thought she was escaping to a new life. But in Port Charles, the past never really stays in the past, and the dead have a funny way of speaking louder than the living. As we wait to see how this unfolds, I suggest you keep a very close eye on Nina's movements, listen carefully to what Jason Morgan isn't saying, and watch the shadows in Michael's room. Because if my instincts are right, the real nightmare for Michael Corinthos hasn't even begun.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.